I received your text, and my first thought was, is this a scam?
I think we definitely got a lot closer than I expected. Just all the little things especially were just so helpful and so worthwhile.
Welcome to the Bright and Ambitious Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Kailey Bright.
And I'm the producer of the show, Joel Seymour.
This episode is the fruition of a year-long mentorship.
Yes.
We chat with Natalie Gale, who I got to mentor for the past year.
Last year, when we talked about the basics of writing, book publishing 101, the contents of that episode was actually originally made for your mentee. And that was back when you guys had just started this mentorship. And now, a year later, she has grown a lot. And what better way to showcase that than to having her on the podcast?
She did a lot of heavy lifting, learning about the publishing world with the intent of becoming a traditionally published author. And so I think she just needed someone who she could bounce her ideas off, who knew what she was talking about.
Yeah. There was a lot of really interesting lessons that I think you both learned from each other. And we get into all of that in the episode. First, you guys talk about how you ended up getting into this mentorship, but then you guys also talk about the biggest lessons that she learned, and then why having a mentor was so valuable as she was starting out.
For those who really want to see their book on a Barnes & Noble shelf or see HarperCollins in their imprint, this episode's for you. Congratulations on graduating high school.
It's done.
It's done. I know.
This past year has been I feel like it just feels so long, to be honest. I think almost like a little over a year ago now was when I reached out to you on Instagram.
I was literally going to check to see what day it was.
But I think it was end of May, early June, so we're like right there.
And I received your text, and my first thought was, is this a scam? Like, what kind of scam is this?
Yeah.
If this is a scam, I'll find out. And if it's real, then this could be a really cool opportunity.
And it was really cool.
It was. You are a real person.
I am a real person.
That was my POV. And I want to know, when you realized that you needed a senior capstone.
The fact that I'd already basically done the whole project the year before, my junior year, of writing the actual book, and I thought this would be a really good opportunity to try to do something similarly. At first I had thought about writing another book, but one of their requirements for the capstone, it has to be something you've never done before. So I knew that wasn't going to work out. Ultimately, though, I just kind of settled on the querying thing and doing social media marketing stuff.
When you originally reached out to me, it was just because you're looking for a young adult fantasy author, or at least some sort of author in your genre, who you could reasonably connect with on a semi-regularly basis, because I think the requirement was once a month, and I think we ended up meeting like twice a month.
Definitely. You were a perfect fit. I actually remember,
Gosh.
You were 100%.
That makes me so happy.
I think I remember there was a requirement of your mentor had to be 25.
At least 25 years old, yeah.
And you turned 25 like right before school started. But,
so good.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's the story of how I actually like found you, because that's
tell me.
Because I was just like, I had no idea how to find a mentor. So she posted on her neighborhood Facebook page. Look,
That's adorable. That is such mom core.
It worked. So, but someone in our in the Facebook page mentioned
Catherine.
Yeah. And so, but then she had just moved to Tennessee.
She did.
So she pointed me to you. And so I went through like 3 people to get to you, but I found you.
And then I was chill enough to not ignore your message.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the Lord, and I'm so glad that we connected like that, because it just worked out so well, and I've learned a lot from you and from this experience, and it's definitely been awesome.
For people who are listening, I want you to break down like what your goal was, what your goal ended up being for this capstone, and then what you did throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, it's my goal to be a traditionally published author, just because several factors. Now, a big part of my project was doing social media marketing, but I don't like doing it.
That's fair.
So, yeah. So I know in traditional publishing, it's less of a big deal because you have a publicity team to help you. You don't have to do all of the marketing work on your own like you have to do, Kailey.
That's what I do.
Kudos to you. But for self-published authors, it's a lot harder to do it full time, just because you have to have several books published in order to make enough money to support yourself. So those are my 2 main reasons for that. But my goal in the project was to kind of explore what it would be like to be a traditionally published author and gain some experience and some knowledge in those areas. I didn't go into this expecting to get published, but I did think that it would be a good opportunity to learn more about the traditional publishing industry and get some experience and gain some confidence in doing these things which were outside of my comfort zone. So obviously there was the social media marketing. So I started an Instagram page, which prior to this, I had never had any social media before. None. I had Be Real for like 6 months.
Be Real.
Just Be Real.
Not even Snapchat?
None of it. Just Be
Wow.
Real. Yeah. So that was my very limited experience with social media. So it was a whole new ball game for me dealing with Instagram and figuring how everything worked and making content. It was scary too. I'm an introvert with a little bit of social anxiety. And so the thought about putting myself like out there on social media and on the internet is terrifying, frankly. But I do think that I worked through a lot of that anxiety and was able to post more regularly. But the second thing was doing querying agents, which is a big part of being a traditionally published author. You have to get representation from an agent first before you can even get your work submitted to a publishing house. And I didn't expect to get an agent because the odds are incredibly not in your favor.
Yes.
And I knew that going into it. Obviously, it would have been fantastic if I had gotten an agent, but I ultimately didn't plan on that, and that wasn't my goal. My goal ultimately was to learn how to write a query letter, which is a big part of your query package that you send to an agent, figuring out how to write a really good query letter that got agents' attention. And ultimately, I feel like I did that.
You did.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, I will tell you, you did.
It was so many drafts, and Kailey, I haven't counted, but I imagine it's about like 20 to 30 of those things that I've
You mean
written.
drafts or like drafts. Sent out? Yeah, I didn't get to see all of them, but there were definitely a lot of passes.
Oh, so much. And I at the beginning I remember thinking like, I don't really know how I'm gonna improve in this, how I'm gonna like be able to write this better next time I do a query round. But honestly, I feel like I did. Like I did a little bit more research every time I was preparing to send out a new round of queries. And I rewrote the entire thing. And I think ultimately every time I did that, it got better. That was my product, was my final query letter. And my product for the social media marketing was 20 Instagram posts. So that was sort of what I was being judged and graded on.
I mean, you succeeded on all fronts.
I feel like I did, yeah.
You really did.
Yeah, the querying was definitely the biggest part. And that's also scary because, I was 17 at the beginning of this, 18 now, sending my book that I wrote and revised. That's another thing. We did a lot of editing and I did a lot of line editing, and I think I learned a lot about editing from you for sure.
That's what I remember the most was like reading and editing.
You helped me so much with that, by the way. And I feel like I have a better understanding of editing now at the end of this too. Even though that wasn't technically a part of my project, I think I did learn and grow a lot in that for sure, especially because I hadn't done line editing before the school year started, and that took me forever because I don't like it.
No, but I mean, like it kind of intermixed with the query lettering process, because the more you learned about, okay, this is what makes a good query letter, you're like, I need to make sure my book is also polished for when they're wanting it.
Yes, 100%. So that it definitely did tie into that, but and I think I did grow a lot in that especially. But the querying was huge, because sending my book and my query letter to professional agents that do this for a living was kind of scary, to be honest. But at the same time, it was, I think I definitely grew in confidence through that. And ultimately, I think my letter was good.
It was, and it still is. I think you could still use it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
When you were querying, what were the best tools you used to learn how to write better as well as send query letters?
Yeah, I think it's really a mix of research and practice. I ended up using the subreddit for they judge query letters. I ended up doing that sometimes, and that was helpful.
Is that r/query, or what's it called?
Oh, it's pub tips. That's what it is. r/pub tips. You can post your query letter in like a specific format, which they talk about on there. I will say, when I did that with some of my first query letters, and it was a little bit negative in some ways, but it just was because my query letter wasn't there. But in that case, I stepped back and just tried to work on it on my own for a while. But towards the end, I did post it, and I didn't really get much feedback, so that made me think, okay, maybe I'm doing okay. But ultimately, I think finding someone that can be your critique partner and doing that, and if you have the money, I think doing the query critique, the paid one, was really helpful for me to have someone who's an industry professional that does this for a living look at it. Was incredibly helpful for sure.
Which conference was that you got?
So it was so Writing Day Workshops has a bunch of conferences all over the country, and I went to their one in Charlotte, and there's the guy who is over all of the Writing Day workshops is the one who does the query critiques, and so I got to get feedback from him, and that was definitely huge. So feedback, just in any way you can get it, whether it's posting on Reddit or having a critique partner that is another author that you definitely acted as my critique partner for a lot of that. And then I think getting multiple people to look at it is good. Second thing is definitely research. It's just, there's so many resources out there on querying and writing query letters, and you just have to dig into it. I think it took me a while to research everything fully. As I redrafted everything, I would do a little more research every time, and ultimately you just got to listen to the pros. You just gotta listen, because they know what they're talking about. There's certain things it's supposed to communicate, and doing research helps you to know what those things are, and you just have to stick to it.
Yes, do not stray from the query letter format.
Yeah, no. Because I think for me, I tried to add in different subplots or talking about different characters, but ultimately you have to focus on your main character. You have to focus on your main plot. It is supposed to be super short, because an agent is reading hundreds of these like on a Sunday night. I think I listened to an agent talk, and they literally said that it's like 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, and they got 100 query letters to go through. So they're not going to give you the time of day. If they read the first 3 sentences and they're just like, I don't want to read this anymore, then they're just going to toss it. And I think that's a very difficult reality to deal with. But ultimately, you do what you can. If they say 10 sample pages, they mean 10 double-spaced sample pages, no more, no less. And if they say 12-point font, they mean 12-point font.
Yes.
Getting their names right, researching the agents too is a big deal. You have to know what an agent is looking for. A lot of them have wish lists, so paying attention and making sure that you're querying the right people and your query letter works.
You're querying them at the right time.
Yes,
you ran into that.
Yeah, so a lot of agents are closed at certain times of the year or most of the year, depending on how big the agent is, because they can get thousands of submissions in a few months. So they will often close so they can catch up, and you have to pay attention to who's closed and when. And it's very much a detail-oriented process, and it can be overwhelming, but you just do your research and revise that query letter as much as you can.
Yeah, the more you think of it as a mystery, the more it's going to remain so.
Yeah. And I think a lot of throughout this process it's just made me realize that these are real people. Like, they're just people like me.
Yeah.
You're not a literary agent if you don't like books. You're not an editor if you don't like books. So those people want you to succeed. They want to find good books. They want your book to be good, because if your book's good, agents especially, they make money.
That's their job.
Yeah. And another thing I would say is, if you're querying, is realize that what you are sending out is basically a business proposal, because these agents, they don't live off of salary. They don't make money unless if their clients make money. So they get a percentage of what their clients make, and that's it. So it's very much a high stress job. And so they're not going to pick up your book unless it's something that they're passionate about, that they think they can champion, and that they think is marketable, because otherwise it's not worth it to them.
Yeah, you are asking them to be your champion, so you have to take it seriously.
100%.
What was the kind of feedback you did receive, if at all?
Mostly they don't give you feedback.
Right.
Usually it'll be, this isn't what I'm looking for right now. But because I went to that writing conference, I got to pitch to agents in person. I pitched to 4 agents in person in March, towards the end of my project. Yeah, it was terrifying, but it was a really good experience too, and I feel like I learned a lot. So all 4 of those agents liked my pitch. They all asked for me to send them materials. Some of them, it wasn't a whole lot. They didn't ask for my whole book, but the most of them asked for was like 3 chapters, but that's still a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from all of them yet, but I have heard back from most of them, and they have all said no. So what that tells me is not that my pitch isn't good, but that my book is not ready. So, and that's often the case, I think. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, this was my first book, and it's not ready to be published. I think writing it was a huge learning experience for me, of learning how to write a book. And I learned a lot through that, but it was also messy. It was a messy process. And I think the book is good, and I love the characters and I love the plot, but I just don't think it's necessarily the right book and it's ready to be published.
Okay, I was just curious because I thought maybe some other other agents had maybe said some feedback related to, like, this is really cool, but not for me, or... That's
generally the gist of it, but that's usually kind of their form response, is like, this doesn't fit my wish list, but I hope you can find an agent for you.
It's very polite decline, I would say.
Very polite, yeah. And so I do appreciate them not, like, trashing on your book or whatnot, but at the same time, it would be nice to have feedback. It's just difficult for them to have the time to do that. I did a lot of editing. I did a lot with you at the beginning, and then I did a lot of line edits on my own. That was a bit torturous.
Yeah, and I feel like you're underselling yourself, because you went from 120,000 words to 99.
Yeah, paper is expensive, and they don't like long debut novels. So YA fantasy has to be about 100K and under. So my book, when I originally wrote the first draft, was like 156, 57. So
incredible.
It was so long. I cut it down, I think, to 120 by the end of the summer, and then I spent the rest, like a good portion of the next few months, getting it down to 100, and then I think I got it down to 98 at the ends, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, it's super impressive because it's also one of those things that you can completely ignore. Like I know, like the guy who runs the conferences was like, "This is a pretty long debut," and I'm like, "You don't know where she came from."
No, it was not. Yeah.
I'm like, this is actually great news.
Because I think sometimes, from what I've heard, oftentimes an agent may think that if your book is long, then you haven't done enough editing.
Right.
So in that case, that can be a sign that you haven't really edited this, and they don't want to take a first draft. That's
Right.
not what they're there for. And I was just like, yeah, no, this has come down about over 50,000 words.
So out of everything you did, social media, querying, revising, like what was your favorite? What was your least favorite overall?
Ooh.
Rank them.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. Definitely social media was the least favorite. Like, I can go ahead and flat out say that. So it's just like, but it's just not something I enjoy doing. Even though it was hard and I didn't enjoy it, I did it, and I think I could do it again if I had to.
I end up talking to a lot of authors about how it is a necessary evil. So it's not bad that you're like, no, this is the bane of my existence. It was just more of like, I'm curious if you could see yourself trying to find ways that you would enjoy it more.
Yeah, probably there are. I think maybe if I wasn't doing it by myself and I did have a publicity team, that would make it easier.
Yeah.
Because just being me and all on me is not my favorite thing. But I do think at the conference there were several workshops, and there was an agent Q&A, and one of the questions that got asked is if you are in fiction and you're looking to be traditionally published as a fiction author. Well, someone was asking about nonfiction, I think. And so with nonfiction, apparently you do have to have a solid following on social media, because you have to be like an expert in your subject area, and people have to respect you as an expert in order for an agent to consider you for nonfiction, which was really interesting to learn because I'm not a nonfiction person. But
but that does make sense in a weird way.
But then she said for fiction, you don't have to. Like, it's not going to hurt you, but you don't have to have a social media following as a fiction author, like right out of the gate. Like, it's apparently not as big of a deal as some people think it is, which I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Mm-hmm. But apparently they don't really care. Like, I think you definitely have to probably do marketing once you get published, but It doesn't seem like it's, I mean, I'm sure if you have like 100,000 followers, then it's going to be more like, okay, maybe we'll like,
you can leverage it.
Yeah. Like that may depend on the agent also, because some of them might value authors having a platform right out of the gate more so than others. But that was kind of reassuring to me. That kind of made me feel better that it's not 100% something that I have to do right now, because honestly, I feel like I've done a lot of all of that stuff now, exploring the business side of being an author, and I really want to work on my craft because ultimately I feel like you can't get published if you don't have a good book. So
no,
you have to be good at writing to get a book published, no matter how good you are at querying. Probably that would make querying my favorite part, which is kind of, I think it's one of those things that I'm a big like planner, organizer person. I enjoyed doing, like, having the different aspects of it and doing the research for the actual agents, but then also like, and then having my little spreadsheet in the corner.
Yes. I loved all our spreadsheets.
Yes. And then also doing the research about how to write the query letter, because that was learning something new, and I got to actually like write that. So because I enjoy writing, so even if it's just, it's not quite the same as like an actual book, but it was still writing. So and getting to see how far I'd come with that, it was definitely like stressful at times, because the whole sending out stuff to professionals and real people is scary. But at the same time, I think it was probably my favorite part, just because it took up most of my time. Like, that was probably what I spent most of my time on. Yeah, so then that would put the editing in the middle. I think it also, it kind of depends on the type of editing.
Yeah, your line editing, you hate it.
Like, I thought I really hated the like like big picture editing, but I was wrong. It was the line editing. So,
Yeah.
but I just don't like how long it takes, honestly. Like,
No one prepares you for how many times you have to actually read your book before it gets published.
and if I gotten an agent, I would have had to edit it all over again.
Yes, they would have their notes, and yeah, it's a
It would have
whole
been another like year of editing.
yeah, but it's something to look forward to once you are there, because there's like the euphoria of, oh my gosh, I have an agent.
I think we definitely got a lot closer than I expected to, like, with a mentor, which is good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like we had, yeah.
I like to bounce ideas off of other people, and I process by talking about things. So I think having you to be that board for me to bounce stuff off of and to help me pick stuff out of the, agent's wish list to add to my personalizations, like just all the little things especially were just so helpful, and I think made it so worthwhile. And also I think at the beginning especially there was a lot of I learned about editing from you that was I don't think I expected to like before I like talked to you and everything to be working all throughout the summer, but I'm so glad we did that because it was like really helpful to prepare my book and prepare me for going into the actual project. So.
No, I'm really glad that we were able to connect, because there was like, I'm not gonna lie, there was when I saw the text and I was like, I'm gonna talk to this person, I was like, I don't know if I'm qualified to help someone learn how to publish, especially in the traditional sphere since I'm self-published. But I guess I not only do I learn a lot from the other authors around me, but I have learned a lot in general about the publishing process.
Yeah.
Doing it myself.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's funny because like they made me feel at least that it was like urgent to get a mentor during the summer. And then I got to the actual class and like half the class didn't have a mentor yet. And I was like, what are y'all doing?
The stress. Yeah, no.
Since like May. Like,
yeah, you're like, I have her on speed dial right now. Like, what are y'all doing?
Oh man, yeah, no.
Like, I acted like a lot more of an encouragement towards the end, especially when it came to like, you'd be like, I don't know if my book fits this, and I'm the person to be like, it does. Add that in. Add that in right now. Don't even hesitate.
Honestly, that's hugely helpful because I think some of those things it's really hard to judge for myself what is and what's not like when it comes
applicable.
To my book, because I think we've talked about this before, just seeing the forest for the trees and understanding the whole picture of my book versus the more like zoomed in picture that I have of it. And that was definitely helpful. I think towards the end, I think because I was doing so much with like the pitch versus actual like querying stuff at that point, there was less like learning happening on my part. So it was
more of a soundboard at that point.
Yeah.
That was fun. You like pitching it to me over and over. And I was like, all right, we'll tweak this.
Yeah, no, it ended up being great. So it was
I'm so glad.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Ultimately, that's kind of what I've taken away from this is I've taken a really good step towards becoming a published author. And I think I'm going to write better. And if I do get published, I'm going to do the next querying process a lot better. However, I don't need to pressure myself to get there until I feel like I'm ready. That doesn't mean I need to put it off, but at the same time, I need to focus on what's the next right step for me here, and how can I get to where I want to be in the future with that, basically.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Natalie, for taking time to talk me through your year as my mentee, and I'm really excited to see what you do next.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I was so grateful that you said yes, and it's been such a worthwhile experience. I mean, it has been hard, but I have learned a lot, and I think ultimately, I feel like the most like that I've gotten out of this is that honestly, just showing myself that I can do all of the things that I did was a big deal.
Absolutely.